Hello, I'm Ultimate Reviews, and I've noticed a trend with animated movies as of late. That being that really good original animated movies released on Netflix end up falling under the radar outside of circles of obsessed animation fans who watch every animated movie, good or bad, out of compulsion. Films like Klaus, Next Gen, White Fang, The Willoughbys, and so on have not been given their fair shot, leaving the obsessed animation fans to aggressively recommend these films to everyone they know. Of course, with this year being current year, more people are giving these movies a chance, seeing as that we've come to rely on streaming services a lot more. And not that I'm saying that this global pandemic is a good thing, because obviously it's fucking not, but it does mean these films are getting a bit more recognition, which I guess is a positive side effect to a really negative situation. As you can probably tell, that was a very rambling segue to talk about Arlo the Alligator Boy, a brilliant film I wish more people were talking about, and I should probably just get into the film itself. Premiering on Netflix April 16, 2021, Arlo the Alligator Boy is an American animated feature film directed by Ryan Crago and starring artists Michael J. Wood and Mary Lambert. Interestingly enough, it's actually supposed to serve as a pilot to an upcoming TV series, I Love Arlo. I have no idea whether the movie will be an indicator of the quality of the show, but I'm not going to judge it as a pilot for a TV show since the show itself isn't out yet, and that doesn't really seem fair. Rather, I'll just be looking at it as a movie. With that out of the way, Arlo the Alligator Boy follows the story of the titular Arlo, a half-alligator, half-human who lives in a swamp being raised by an elderly human woman. He enjoys his life at the swamp fine, but also dreams of more, wanting to explore the world and live amongst other people as opposed to just terrorizing local wildlife. Seeing this, his adoptive mother decides to tell him the truth about where he comes from, that his last name is Beauregard, and that he originally came from New York City, and that's probably where his father is. So he sets out on a journey to find his father, accumulating a group of similarly misfit friends along the way, most notably an unusually strong and giant girl named Birdie. He learns about the world around him alongside his new friends, all the while being pursued by a group of idiot hunters who wish to make him into an attraction. If that sounds fairly simple, it's because that's just the actual premise. The journey itself is all over the place in the best way. There's a bunch of smaller, self-contained scenes along the way with dynamic action and unique set pieces and colourful characters, and each of them is entertaining. They all string together really well without feeling too disjointed, which it easily could have been, and many stories with a similar structure tend to feel like. The centre of the story is still largely on Arlo, which definitely helps it feel focused. We see everything unfold from his stupefied perspective, which is enjoyably cheerful and light-hearted, making the film radiate the same qualities, at least to me. I also particularly enjoy the message of the film, about how standing out and being true to yourself, while difficult at times, can also be a good thing, and the things that make us feel ostracized or othered can actually be our strengths. The things that can unite us all together and make us unique, but executed in a way that isn't too heavy-handed or has unfortunate implications, which it probably sounds like it can. It does sound a bit after-school special, but it's handled very well. It's a simple message, but I feel like they thought through it very well. Fellow animation fans who have been exhausted by every mainstream animated film being CGI can rejoice. 2D is back. I mean, it never really left, and TV and Japanese movies being primarily 2D, and plenty of overseas stuff, but in terms of mainstream, it's back. The animation is a joy to watch. The movements of the characters are so energetic and, for lack of a better word, animated. It really adds to the liveliness and energy of the scene, especially with all the dancing, which always looks really dynamic. And once again, it looks really cool. It's really cool to see 2D films making a comeback in such a big way. The art design also knocks it out of the park with these absolutely gorgeous backgrounds, which I don't think I've seen backgrounds quite like this in anything else. These environments are stunningly beautiful, and while they look great on their own, they also work perfectly as the backdrop for this amazing story. And speaking of that, it also uses these for visual storytelling that's very effective. I always love it when an animated movie uses the fact that it's animated for the advantage of being able to use visuals to tell the story with no dialogue needed. The character design is much more like a cartoon, which I guess makes sense, but I think it works well for the film's advantage with the more exaggerated movements. They seem to be a perfect blend of modern cartoon character designs and the classic Rubber Hose style with the pie eyes and such. All around the movie looks amazing, and as cool as hyperrealism is, it's definitely refreshing to see a film fully embrace cartooniness again. The characters are certainly an eclectic list, but I feel like each one brings something new to the table for the most part. Arlo's a wide-eyed and infectiously positive character, one who warms even my cold dead heart. His naivety gets him in trouble sometimes, but it's never to the point where he's annoying. Rather, his positivity and cheerfulness brightens the world around him, making the other characters, and by extension the audience, feel the same way. He's not super passive either. He still reacts to the things as the journey goes on, and of course does have moments of doubt or sadness, but he never lets it consume him. I think it's impossible not to like Arlo, and he's definitely the perfect character to lead this movie. Birdie is on the opposite side of the spectrum of emotion to Arlo, being very familiar with the ugliness of the world, and she's become jaded and standoffish. But she still has a softer side, helping people such as Arlo where she can. And of course, as she starts to open up to Arlo, his positivity starts to influence her to start seeing the good in people. I like Birdie a lot. Her backstory and the reason for why she does see the things the way she does is very identifiable, and I find her to be a good contrast for Arlo. I'm going to round off the other characters quick style because otherwise I could be here all day. There's Felicia, a flamboyant pink furball who's surprisingly good at wrestling. She's pretty entertaining as mostly comic relief. There's Tiny Tony, the rodent-like fast-talking business guy who handles the money from their matches. Not much to say about him, really. Ali, a boisterous tiger kid who drives the bus like a maniac and is adorable. Marcellus, a cynical fish who I'm not really sure contributes anything, but I like him fine, I guess. And finally there's the three hunters, who are altogether pretty pointless and ineffectual as antagonists, but move the plot along forward. A diverse and chaotic group of characters that remind me a lot of Regular Show or Gumball or even Futurama, which is a very good thing as all of those shows have amazing characters. All the characters have a ton of personality, even if they aren't all super relevant to the story, probably because they'll all receive more development in the show, but that's just a guess. But it's really the bond between Arlo and Birdie that really pulls it through. With two very talented artists at the forefront of this movie, it follows that the songs would be very well executed, and they 100% are. I've been listening to this soundtrack non-stop, as each song is memorable and so enjoyable to listen to. Even though I'm not a huge fan of this type of music, I can't get enough of the songs in this movie. My favourite is Follow Me Home, which is just beautiful, but other songs such as Beyond These Walls, Better Life, Beautiful Together, etc. are all really great in their own right. Oh, and Wash the Hurt Away. Fuck, that whole segment is amazing. Like, if you're going to watch any one part of this movie, look up the scene on YouTube. It's probably the best animated segment of the whole movie, in my opinion. This movie is just so fun. It's just a bright, feel-good musical romp that I had a blast watching all the way through, and it makes you want to sing and dance right alongside the characters. It also manages to dispense a lot of genuine heart and contains very well-developed emotional scenes. I'm genuinely finding it difficult to find anything too negative to say about it, because it's clearly just supposed to be pure fun, and it really succeeds at being that. If I had to criticize anything, it would probably be that the humor isn't as strong as the other elements of the film. There were definitely quite a few chuckles, but it's not as laugh-out-loud funny as some of the similar movies. It was mostly random gags, and while none of it was painful, it also didn't stand out to me as much as the rest of the movie. And of course the antagonists were mostly pointless and a little bit irritating in my opinion, but that's in no way detracts from what an enjoyable movie this is. It's obviously not perfect, and I probably prefer Klaus and Next Gen as they're more put together, but this definitely deserves some attention on its own. If you're in the mood for something simple and fun to put a smile on your face, that also has some genuinely well executed emotional moments that overall just leaves you feeling good, this is definitely the movie for that. It's unapologetically joyous, and if that's the kind of movie you want, I highly recommend it. And that about wraps this up. You know, speaking of Netflix, I'm going to watch The Mitchells vs. the Machines to see if it's possible for Sony to get a third genuinely great film out. Actually, the Hotel Transylvania films aren't that bad, but come on Sony, 3 for 3, God tier, don't let me down. More so. See you there, peace out.
Homegrown alligator, see you later. Gotta hit the road, gotta hit the road. The sudden change in the atmosphere, architecture unfamiliar. I could get used to this. Time flies by in the yellow and green. Stick around and you'll see what I mean. There's a mountain top that I'm dreaming of. If you need me, you know where I'll be. I'll be riding shotgun underneath the hot sun, feeling like a someone.